Welcome back. Let's talk about something that lives in the heart of every creative. Something that drives us and holds us back all at the very same time. Something that every artist of any stripe feels, and honestly, something that anyone of any time feels. And it does tie directly to this shield over my right eye. Hi, I'm John, and I'm going to talk about books and writing and stuff. But today, I want to talk about fear. I want to talk about that thing that lives over your shoulder and just kind of follows you around and whispers to you all the time. And the reason it's on my mind today is this. I had cataract surgery this morning. Content warning, skip ahead until you see me do this again. When you have cataract surgery, what they do is they blast sound waves at your eyeball, shattering the lens on your eye into itty bitty pieces. Then they cut a little hole on the bottom of the front of your eyeball, and they kind of suck the busted lens up. Then they take a brand new lens that's folded up and they shove it in the hole and boop, expand it so that it covers the hole, and you now have a bionic eye. I have a bionic eyeball. It did not, however, come with any of the cool features that I was expecting. No. No laser beams. I cannot just pew, pew anymore than I could before. It didn't come with infrared. It doesn't come with a heads-up display. But what it may come with, depending on the degree to which this corrects my vision, this may have me seeing 20/20 when we're done. That is the goal. I will likely still need reading glasses, but the 45-year relationship I've had with eyeglasses and corrective lenses may be by and large over in a couple of weeks when I get the other eye done. But let me lay it out for you. I've been scared shitless to have this done. I know it's a routine procedure. I know that thousands or tens or hundreds of thousands of people have this done every year. Very close friends of mine have had it done. Close family members, both my parents and one of my brothers and a sister-in-law have all had cataract surgery done. No complications in any of their cases. And my mother had this done, God, it was close to 40 years ago, if not longer. And so I've seen the results. My father had his done at, I believe he was 86 years old. And he had worn glasses for over 70 years. And he never wore them again for the rest of his life. It was amazing, the transformation. It honestly extended his life. I firmly believe that. That doesn't change the fact that somebody blasted sound waves into my eyeball and blew up the lens. And I need my eyes to make a living. So yeah, I was shit scared, petrified to have this done. Completely irrational, which is the heart of most fear. And fear is so prevalent in a writer's life. It's crazy, the things we're afraid of. We're afraid of people hating our work. We're afraid of nobody buying our work to know whether they love it or hate it. We're afraid of people loving our work too much. We're afraid of people recognizing us out in public. We're afraid of nobody ever recognizing us at anything. So I want to talk about how you and I, as a creator, deal with that fear. I can't really see the camera right now, but honestly, the shield under my eyeglasses is a little uncomfortable. I don't have any significant pain from the procedure. My eye's sore, and I've taken a couple of Advil and a couple of Tylenol to address that. But it's no more pain than when you're walking along at night and you catch your pinky toe on something and oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Well, it's nowhere close to that. It's more like that ache in your foot for the next 3 hours after you do that. That's kind of what's going on. I basically have a bad headache, which may also be explained by congestion because, well, it's friggin' January and the barometer around here is nuts. But anyway, so I was terrified to have this done. But I'm smart enough to understand that my vision had progressed in the bad way very rapidly over the last 2 or 3 years. My eyesight had really diminished. And when you're already hard of hearing, I only have about half the hearing in this ear, so I'm already hard of hearing. I don't have any senses to spare, so it had to be done. The same can be said for how you deal with fear in your career. Yeah, you're going to be scared. Releasing your creation out into the world is a scary thing. You're like, just realized I don't remember the biblical name of Moses' mother. But you're like Moses' mama. You're taking your little baby book, your thing that you have birthed, and you are wrapping it up in swaddling clothes, and you're putting it in a little basket, and you're floating it down the river for the universe to hopefully adopt, and then your book can free all of the slaves in Egypt. And I may be assigning too much authority to a book, but you're putting your creation out into the world, and that's scary. I get it. But Frank Herbert very famously said, fear is the mind killer. And he was right. It is. Fear are the handcuffs around your creativity. So what do? Well, you're welcome to just not give a shit. If you can truly adopt an attitude of, I don't care what anyone says or thinks about my work, it's the best work I can produce and that's good enough for me, then good on you. That is a very healthy way to be. I'm not good enough to do that yet. So I need bumpers on my bowling lanes of fear avoidance. Jesus, sorry. I just kicked the crap out of my tripod. Gives you some idea of how close you have to be to get this level of gorgeous in one frame. So how do I deal with my fear about my work? One, I have a group of trusted respondents who I know like my work, who I know like the kind of stuff that I write and the style in which I write it. Let me be honest, if you're out there and you are the world's biggest Brandon Sanderson fan, and you think the Stormlight Archives are the greatest fantasy series in history, you're probably not going to be the biggest fan of my work. Brandon and I have very different writing styles, and very different genres that we work in, even though he works across a few more genres than I do. So if you are a monster epic fantasy nerd, then you're not going to like the dick jokes and explosions that I write. So I'm not really going to ask your opinion on a book that I don't think you're going to like in the first place. If you're a Jim Butcher fan and you love the Dresden Files and you think Kevin Hearn is the second coming, then you'll probably like what I write. So you might be someone that I ask about a book. But curating the opinions I receive on my work is a way that I deal with my fear that my work is no good. I don't read reviews. Ever. Hardly ever. A lot of authors pay attention to every review that comes in. Some people take all of it in and let some of it affect them somehow and have a filter. I'm not really capable of that. I'm not that good. I just don't read them. I don't look at the review counts on my books. I don't believe that they are a magic bullet for success. So if you like my book and you want to leave a review, thank you. I appreciate the hell out of it. But I'll probably never see it. Reviews aren't for me. Nobody who's writing a review is writing that review to help me be a better writer. My editors are making notes to help me be a better writer. Some of my peers are talking to me about things and helping me be a better writer. But reviews are written for other readers. Just like you clicking the like and subscribe button and ringing the bell to get notified on this video, that's for you. And then you sharing all of the links to these videos to your friends, well, that's you doing that for them. None of that is an endorsement or an assessment of this shelf full of books behind me. It's, hey, this guy's moderately amusing and you get to see him with an eye patch, so check him out. But that's one way that I push past my fear, is I curate the responses that I see. I can't stop somebody from saying whatever they want about whatever they want. I can't even fact check them on a lot of platforms anymore. But I can control what I see. But what do you do before the book is out? What do you do to get rid of the fear of submitting? Because sending the book out there in the first place is terrifying. Here's an agent. This is a person who can completely create or destroy my career. And I'm going to give my book to them and they're going to... No. You're going to give them access to your book. And they're either going to love it or they're not. And then they're going to do their job, which is to either promote the book or pass on the book. But they're not going to create your career. No agent or publisher is going to create your career. Giving that power to someone else gives them the ability to instill fear in you. I'm friends with agents. I work with agents on the publishing end all the time. I don't currently have one. Not to say I'm not interested in acquiring one when I have a property that needs to be shopped around. But at this point in my career, I haven't needed an agent. So no one can destroy my career except one person. Also a little terrifying because that also means that I'm responsible for any of the dips in my career. If I'm not selling as many books as I did last year, it's not my agent's fault. It's not my publisher's fault. It's on me twice because I'm also my own publisher, and hell, 3 times because I don't have an agent. But giving that power to someone else allows them to make you afraid. There are plenty of times in our life when we should be afraid. I was walking down the road from my brother's house to my sister's house one time when I was a little kid. I looked down, and about 2 feet away from my ankle was a copperhead. I don't know, what's that? Yeah, 2 feet won't quite fit. 2 feet, basically the whole, that's about how far I was from a venomous snake. So I was scared. I've never run that fast before or since. And this was before I ran competitively in high school. Okay, I ran track in high school. Saying I ran competitively is probably a little bit of a stretch. And hell, my old track coach might even see this, and he could certainly attest that I was never running competitively. But that was a time that I was afraid, and it was warranted. I was a freshman in college, and I had come home to do laundry like many 18-year-olds who grew up an hour away from their dorm do. And the fire alarm went off. Not the one in our house. Well, not the one referring to our house. I was a volunteer firefighter when I was a kid, starting at age 16. And I had my gear with me, so I went and I got in the truck, and I ended up in the middle of the largest brush fire in the history of South Carolina, which spanned hundreds of acres and was pretty terrifying. And at one point, my friend Ronnie and we were separated from our truck, and we didn't know how to get back. We were working with backpack sprayers. Like, you've probably seen those sprayers that exterminators wear. They're like 2 scuba tanks on your back, and you psh. We were fighting a fire with those. It's not insane. It's actually how you just wander around and you spray on hot spots. We weren't theoretically in an active fire zone until we were. And we were cut off, and we were scared. Legitimately afraid. For a minute. Then Ronnie, who was a little taller than me, Ronnie saw another department's truck. And we went and we hopped in their truck, and we were out, we were safe. Those are legitimate fears. Those are not fear, that's not fear that I gave to someone. Don't give people the ability to frighten you. Some people are just scary. You should meet my marketing director. She can be terrifying. But no one deserves that power. Fear comes from the granting of power. And in all forms of art, yes, there are people with authority. I'm one of them. I know. I have the authority to accept or reject people's manuscripts and decide whether or not a book gets published by Falstaff. I'm not deciding whether or not the book gets published. I don't have that power. Only the author has that power. There are so many ways to be published today. It really is a matter of when one door closes, another one may open. I have published books that went through nearly 4 dozen other presses before I bought it. I have published books that nobody else ever got a chance to look at because I was fortunate enough to make friends with the author. That takes away a lot of the fear of a publisher because we're afraid that we're going to publish a flop. I'm afraid I'm going to write a flop. I'm afraid that the bubble book I'm releasing in a couple of weeks is going to tank. Of course I'm afraid of that. But I can't do anything about that. So what do I do with that fear? I ignore it. That's one that I can rationalize away, that I can't do anything about that other than what I already do to launch a title. So when you are afraid of failing with a project, my advice to you is figure out whether or not your fears are founded or unfounded. When I was scared about this surgery, I knew that those fears were in large part unfounded. Tens of thousands of people have the same surgery every year with no problem. My doctor has done thousands of these procedures with no problems. That doesn't mean there's not a tiny kernel of, oh crap, what if it doesn't work? Yeah, well, I can't do anything about that. So I can rationalize my big fear down to a little tiny fear. My big fear of, oh my God, he's going to cut open my eyeball and I'm never going to be able to see to write again. That's a big fear, right? Well, yes, that's a big fear. How do we whittle that down? Okay. Well, this guy's done a bunch of these surgeries. He's good at it. Shrink. I have seen the positive effects that these surgeries' successes have had on people I love. Shrink. I have watched this same surgery work on my father, who, in the words of his surgeon, had one of the most difficult cat lens replacements he'd ever done. And mine was nothing like that. Shrink. And then, when you get it shrunk down, and your little bitty fear of, oh my God, he's cutting into my eyeball, is shrunk down to something like this, and the excitement of maybe not having to wear glasses anymore, that's huge now. That excitement is so much bigger than the fear that you just let the big one stomp on the little one. This is not a parenting strategy, by the way. I will not be giving you parenting strategies, but if I were, let the big one stomp on the little one would not be that. So the excitement of doing what thousands of people think about doing, completing a book, the excitement of doing it should be huge. The fear of what if everybody hates it should be very small. I've written stuff that's not great. And every once in a while, somebody will still come up to me and say they really love this thing that I wrote that I thought, wasn't my best. But I'm not telling them that. I tell them, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I have tried hard to stop saying, oh, you like my work? You should read more. You should be more widely read. Because that's rude to the person trying to compliment me. Somebody out there is going to love your book. Just like somebody out there thinks that hairless cats are beautiful. If you think hairless cats are beautiful, I'm sorry. Not my thing. Good on you. Somebody out there will love your book as much as you do, or maybe more. Maybe somebody spends thousands of words extolling the virtue of the deep-seated subtleties in your characterizations and in your descriptions, and then you can sit back and think, wow, I just thought the curtains were blue. That excitement should stomp on your fear. Find your fear, rationalize it down to something manageable, and then find an excitement or a love and feed your fear to it. Do you love writing. Find a piece that you've written that you really love and feed your fear to that. Do you love standing in front of people and talking about your work? Then feed your fear of somebody thinking you're an idiot to that love. I love talking about books. I love talking about writing. Every time I sit down in front of this camera, I'm thinking, wow, am I just going to sound like a complete dumbass again? Maybe. But you know what? I see a lot of people on TV and on YouTube every day who I think sound like a complete dumbass. Somehow they survive. So find a way to shrink your fear and then feed it to your joy. Till next time. Peace.